All right, to start the program, can I kindly request everyone to say sadhu, please?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Panchahi bhikkhave dhamme samannagato bhikkhu attahitaya cha patipanno hoti parahitaya cha. Katamehi panchahi ida bhikkhave bhikkhu attana cha sila sampanno hoti parancha sila sampadapeti. Attana cha samadhi sampanno hoti parancha samadhi sampadaya samadhi. Attana panya sampanno hoti parancha vimutti sampanno hoti parancha vimutti sampadaya samadhipeti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in Dhamma, today is 2nd September 2025, another Tuesday, another mindfulness session. So after few hours of practice, we are now heading towards the supportive factors. We are taking the listening supportive factor now. For that purpose, we have been using this particular sutta, Attahitaya Parahitaya discourse. In other words, welfare of the self and welfare of the others. That is the discourse that we have taken as the discourse for a few months now, and we are discussing the qualities that would be required by a person for his own welfare and also for the welfare of others. So the meaning, the direct translation of the verse I just recited is, because possessing 5 qualities, a bhikkhu is practicing both for his own welfare and for the welfare of others. What 5? Here, a bhikkhu is himself accomplished in virtuous behavior and encourages others to become accomplished in virtuous behavior. He himself is accomplished in concentration and encourages others to accomplish concentration. And he himself is accomplished in wisdom, encourages others to become accomplished in wisdom. He himself is accomplished in liberation and encourages others to become accomplished in liberation. So I recited only up to that point. There is another part which says he himself is accomplished in the knowledge and vision of liberation and encourages others to become accomplished in the knowledge and vision of liberation. So we will discuss that sometime in the future. So we have already discussed the first 3, and we are halfway through on the second one. And in the first one, in the virtuous accomplishment, if I may give a summary of all what we have discussed so far, in the case of virtue, what happens is we restrain our physical and verbal faculties, physical and verbal deeds. By accomplishing physical and verbal deeds, and you will be able to tell others as well as an exemplary person to accomplish in virtuous behavior. And this virtuous behavior in the practice of Buddhist, or as Buddha taught, it is to be based, or it is to be supported by the disposition of the mind, directed by the mind processing. Because most of the denominations are having virtuous behaviors, but those virtuous behaviors are based on their scriptures. They are based on rules they are based on the fear to go to hell or fear for punishment. But in the case of Buddhist virtuous behavior is concerned, it is something that you see. You generate moral shame and moral fear of the physical and verbal deeds which are not acceptable to the society. So when it is driven by the mind, you will have moral shame and moral fear. And then you will, over time, continuous observation or continuous research and study and observation of moral shame and moral fear, gradually you will lean towards the restraining the faculties, restraining verbal faculties and physical faculties. So in that manner, you will be virtuous, not because somebody else says or your scripture says or anything as such, but simply because you yourself has decided with your consciousness. And then, since it is supported by the mind, then you have an opportunity to have an interaction with the mind. So when you become more and more virtuous, it is usually um, highlighted. It is usually um, represented. It is usually manifested by the misbehaviors of the mind. Although you are physically and verbally restrained, you can see a lot of mischief happening in your mind. So then, seeing that is on one hand is the confirmation that physical and verbal deeds are to some extent under control, and then the teacher will be able to guide you towards the mental restraint. In other words, when you see these things, the simple mental restraint is no matter what, you keep observing. It is easier said than done, but it is something that you can do without rushing, with patience. You will have to simply keep observing. So over time, you will be able to see that the mental process is happening, but it is not bothering you as much because you are not reacting to the misbehavior, mischief of the mind, and it becomes another mental phenomena. So initially they appear as hindrances, but over time it becomes a phenomena. It comes and goes. And then once that happens, when you are able to observe them without either physical or verbal agony, physical or verbal interpretations, physical or verbal analysis of them, then their strength goes down. So once the strength goes down, you are accomplished to that extent. You have accomplished the concentration. Then, to the extent you know your concentration, you will be able to help others as well to get into concentration. So once you are liberated and concentrated in this manner, which is guided by the mental involvement in seeing yourselves, in seeing your physical and verbal deeds, now you are restraining your mental deed as well. So when you keep on restraining your mental deeds, what happens is, again, these mental misbehaviors or misconduct of the mind are not completely going away. They will every now and then come and tickle you, come and pinch you, come and sometimes punch you as well. So when that happens, again the practitioner will be a bit annoyed, practitioner will be disturbed. So from the discussions and from listening to talks, especially by someone who is really practicing mindfulness, that person will be able to hear that there is something called impermanence. So therefore, because of the impermanence, uh, mm, because you have not understood or realized, or is not, your mind is directed towards impermanence, you start crying about it when they appear. So the teacher will be having now an opportunity to tell him that these things, when they appeared and when they were coming under control, the mind is generally and automatically is taking you to another defilement state, that this fading away, or this vanishing, this depreciation of the mental misconducts are not going to come ever again. So in other words, mind is generating permanent notion of this diminishing mental misconduct. So you will naturally assume, okay, so when I become mindful, these things fade away, so that's a cool thing. I will keep observing each and everything. So using that, on one hand you will develop permanent notion, and on the other hand you will develop that I have the control over it. So you will develop ego over it. So then the teacher takes that opportunity, since he is developing in the practice. Now, since he is coming out with another scenario of the same thing, the teacher will be able to tell, yes, so now what has happened is, although you have things under control, mind is trying to take them as permanent and take them as ego, as self. So therefore you have got to be very careful and continuously keep observing and have a laugh when they come. Because when you have a laugh, then you will they will not stand a chance, because you are not, when they are coming, if you are annoyed, and if you are shocked, and if you are afraid, and if you question why, and if you think why these are not completely stopping, then they will be we will be providing reasons for the suffering to continue, suffering to perpetuate. But when you have a laugh, and what you simply do is, you are telling those mental misconducts, you are coming once again, I know what you are coming up for. So when you have that mentality, so what it simply introduces to the deeper layers of the mental process is that you don't consider this as you. You don't build up your identification. You won't print your identity card with those things. And mind is very clever in doing that. But because of a continuous observation, you can see when they appear, or you can see they have appeared and they are trying to tickle you, then you have a laugh at them. And when you have a laugh at them, their strength, I'm repeating, is reducing. And also you are introducing new phenomena, new attitude to your mind, that these things will never go away, but they come and go. So when they come, I should not get worried. When they gone, I should not be elated. And when they come, I should not identify myself with them. When they go also, there is no need for me to identify that they are gone. So when they are there, I'm just observing. When they are not there, I'm aware that they are not there. That's all. So that mentality will gradually develop when you see them and have a laugh at them, and means you observe them without much annoyance and analysis and fear and suspicions. And that is how you gradually develop your wisdom. So when you develop your wisdom, then because of this wisdom, you now have an opportunity to liberate yourself. So that is what we are discussing today. And in the past few months, we have discussed few things relating to liberation. I think number one, what we discussed was, for the liberation, it is imperative that we develop the factors for enlightenment. So it is not necessary, you will have to go to another university or another college, another school to develop factors for enlightenment. So your continuous observation by itself is leading to that. So the first enlightenment factor is the mindfulness enlightenment factor. So when mindfulness enlightenment factor is developed, then the others will gradually follow. And what you mean by mindfulness enlightenment factor is you have steadfast mindfulness, in the sense you are not holding on to mindfulness. Whatever happens, maybe good, maybe bad, maybe black, maybe white, maybe acceptable, maybe unacceptable, maybe desirable, maybe undesirable, maybe agreeable, may not be agreeable, maybe pleasant, maybe unpleasant, maybe good feeling, maybe bad feeling. No matter what, you simply observe it. So when you observe either side of the coin, whatever the wave that the mind takes, then you have steadfast mindfulness. It is not the object that you are talking about now, it is a skill that you are talking about. So you have developed the skill that is required to reach the nirvana, to reach liberation. So therefore, I'm reminding you once again that what we develop by practicing is a skill, because we are going to a new profession, which I would call, for the purpose of explanation, nirvana. So any profession requires a skill. So the profession of nirvana, it is not a profession, but I'm just, for the purpose of explanation, we are developing these qualities, we are developing this skill of awareness, skill of continuous observation, skill of perpetuity of observation. Then you have mindfulness factor for enlightenment, and that will generate the rest of the 6 factors, and that will open up your vimutta, or liberation. So I'm not going to go into detail. Someone once, we have discussed them in the past a few times, so you can listen to them. And then we also discussed that there are 5 faculties of liberation. So your liberation, what we basically do is practice. We walk, we sit, we bring our mindfulness to day-to-day life. But there are other ways. And if you have done those things sometime in your existence in the universe, it is not necessarily for everyone to practice. Sometimes, as soon as you hear a teaching by the Buddha or by one of his disciples, your factors will start clicking. You will get the liberation signals, right? So therefore the Blessed One says, when you listen to a talk, that may become a faculty for liberation, but not for everybody. Some people are conditioned that it must happen that way, but it is not that. What Buddha says is just it is one opportunity. And there is another opportunity, which is when you are not enlightened, but you are teaching others. When you teach others, you may get connected with what you are teaching, and your enlightenment factors will start awakening, waking up. So when your enlightenment factors are waking up, then your liberation might happen while preaching. So this is another faculty. And again, don't start teaching thinking that you will get liberated, but that might happen when you really are in touch with what you are teaching, because it is Buddha's Dhamma, and they may start living in you. And then the other one is recitation of the discourses. So when you recite discourse, you are not teaching somebody, but you take the book and keep reciting. When you keep reciting, you don't recite like, someone who does not Greek, just keep reading Greek, won't make sense. But if you know the meaning of physically and in feelings and in perceptions, you may get connected with the meanings of the discourse that you are reciting. So, in that instance, also this liberation factors will awaken, and then you may go to liberation. You will have signals and signs of liberation. And the other one is the ponders, examines, and mentally inspects. So that is when you really do mindfulness. When you do mindfulness, you let anything comes your way, and you just accept it and keep observing and see its as much as possible its intrinsic qualities, and then its common characteristics. So while observing those things, so that is what we do in mindfulness. You let any object come, and you take the details of the object. You take the characteristics of the object. Then you definitely can say, yes, I was aware because I saw these things in my in-breath. I saw these things in my out-breath. And I have been doing that for 10 minutes. I am doing that for 15 minutes. Over that time, this is how it changed. Initially, it was having so many individual qualities, but over time, when the time passes, these individual qualities, intrinsic qualities, started to gradually disappear or fade away, and then I just had only one common quality or two common qualities. So you will get to the common qualities. So that is called pondering, examining, and mentally inspecting, which is basically the mindfulness. And the other one is you grasp well a certain object of concentration and attend to it well and sustain it well and penetrate it well with wisdom. In other words, there are other meditation objects, because we are taking only the objects that are experientiable. For example, walking and sitting and day-to-day activities. And also there are 40 types of techniques. So in those techniques, what they do is you take your attention only to that object, so which we call a concentration practice. And after taking, grasping that object well, then you sustain it. Once it is grasped, then you see the qualities of it, and then you penetrate into it. And then while you penetrate, your awareness qualities will develop. So it is another way that was there when Buddha was when Buddha started teaching. So therefore, he used the same techniques. He used those techniques and then gradually turned them to witness direction. Sorry, not witness direction, wisdom direction. So these are the five faculties with which you will be able to have your liberation. So when you have these five faculties, then that particular person will develop few qualities, and he will attend to things without delay, attend to things very well. We call it appamada. And then you will sustain it. Sustain in the sense you will get as close as possible and get all the possible information, data of that object. You don't just pay the attention and have a sleeping mentality. You try to see as much as possible details of it, the data of it. You collect all the data and then penetrate it with wisdom. Means when the object is changing, you don't poke your fingers. You have your attention steadfast and get the informations of the changing phenomena, and that is called another quality that you will develop. And then in just that way, in relation to Dhamma, he experiences inspiration in the meaning. So you will start understanding, you will start having experiences of the meaning of the teachings. When these things are happening, you will be able to say, this is what Buddha says, digang va assa santo digang assa samiti pajanati. So which means when breath is long, I have long breath. So when he's experiencing that, he gets connected with the meaning of Dhamma. And when it is subsiding and Buddha says rasangva, then you get the meaning and you get the experience. So you get connected because your attention is so well, and these qualities are developing. And then the next one is Dhamma Patisangvedi, which means experiences inspiration in the Dhamma. So you become not only just have the meanings, you start experiencing the Dhamma. So these are the qualities that you will develop. So when you develop these qualities, that person will change. And for those, there are changing stages. I will, without going into detail, I will just label them. And joy will arise, and rapture will arise because of joy, and then the tranquility will arise, and then tranquility will lead to the pleasure, feeling pleasure in the body, and that will lead to concentration. So this way you will have a change from what you started, and that will lead to your liberation. You will be liberated in mind, and most of your taints will be completely destroyed. So these are the 5 ways and how the process takes place, and we have discussed that in detail. And then we started discussing, I think a couple of weeks ago, types of liberations. So we discussed last time, uh, there are 3 types of liberations. One is Cheto Vimukti, which we call liberation of the mind, and the other one is Panya Vimukti, which is the liberated by the wisdom, and there is dual respect or both respect. So both these happening together. So we discussed Cheto Vimukti. In Cheto Vimukti, what happens is you reduce, you depreciate, you destroy your craving. By destroying craving, you will liberate your mind. So that happens when you go into absorptions. First absorption, second absorption, and so on up to the 9th absorption or other 8th absorption. When you go in, what happens is gradually your mind is liberated from a certain shackles, from certain suffering stages that you had. When you come to the first absorption, you will be away from the sensual world. You will be away from the hindrances. So when you are away from those things, then your mind is liberated to that extent. So in that manner, it keeps going up to the 8th liberation. And when you know that these things are happening, there is a possibility, even at the highest level, which means when you go to the 8th absorption, which is neither perception nor non-perception stage, there is a possibility that you will generate passion towards it. So if you generate passion towards it, then there is no way out. So in order to avoid passion towards it, you should have the mindfulness to the fore. So this is what happened before the Buddha. They were practicing, they were able to get themselves dispassioned up to the 7th absorption. But when they came to the 8th absorption, they were caught in that. And then those who were able to come to the 7th one, they were able to get rid of the craving up to the 6th, but they were hooked up in the 7th, so on and so forth. Those who observed, those who stopped at the first absorption level, they were able to do away with the craving for the sensual world and the hindrances, but they were hooked up in the first absorption itself. So therefore, when you liberate your mind, you will have to liberate from this passion, liberate from the craving, and the craving arises because of your passion. So if in order to not get caught up in the craving, it is imperative that you keep observing the state you are in. When you keep observing the state you are in, you don't give an opportunity to the mind to have a hook, to to tie a knot. It's like what do you call, when you sew some cloth, what happens is the needle will be going through the cloth, and then there will have another string going under the cloth. And what happens is the thread that goes with the needle will make a hook to the thread that is going underneath. So then it becomes tight. What we do in our practice is, by observation, that thread that goes underneath is not sent, because you are very closely observing, so there is no opportunity to make that hook. But it looks like the stitching is happening, but actually the only one thread is going, which is the normal living is happening, but you are observing the living. So therefore the craving cannot come into the picture. So in that manner, no matter at what stage you develop your mind, and if you are aware, your raga, your craving is gradually vanishing. So that is what we discussed last time. And when you have this depreciation of craving, there are some imperfections that the mind is trying to bring. But mind will never give up. So when the craving reduces, it will try to bring a lot of other imperfections to see whether still that string under the cloth can be sent. And if you continuously practice, and if you keep your attention to the four, those imperfections also will not be able to take upper hand. So in that manner, you will be able to liberate from the mind. Now today we are going to talk about liberation by wisdom. The difference between liberation by wisdom and liberation of the mind is that in the first one, as we discussed, we depreciate craving. But in the second one, what happens is you get rid of, you eliminate what you call ignorance, right? You penetrate into things, you don't take away your attention at all, and as a result you keep observing each and every phenomena that folds up. You keep observing all the intrinsic qualities, individual qualities, and then see it changes to the common characteristics, common qualities, and then you see they are trying to build permanence with those change, trying to build craving, and you still keep observing those motivations going behind as well. So in that manner, you will gradually develop the impermanence nature attitude in your mind, non-self attitude in your mind. So in that manner, you will see every time the mind is not giving up, mind is always trying to either bring sensual desire, or bring hatred, or bring sloth and torpor, or agitate you, or make worry about the past, or suspect the teaching or the practice. So those are the weapons that the mind is having to block your wisdom. We call them nivarana. Nivarana means the things that flows the enlightenment. So they are called unwholesome mental qualities. So when you see these things are at work without getting caught up in them, then your ignorance goes away. Ignorance means you let them uh, dictate terms to you. So when you become uh, non-ignorant, when you become wise, what happens is you see that these guys are playing. Not that they are completely, not that they are gone away. You see that these guys are coming and trying to trap. So therefore, knowing how much of attacks you have, knowing the strength of your enemies is in itself the wisdom, in itself the wise person. So then it is very easy for anyone to fight because you know the strength. You exactly know the enemy. So when you know the enemy, in this case, you are not fighting with them. You just keep at bay or you just keep at guard. Your attention is there. You are not trying to chase them. So when your attention is there, they are coming to fight you, but they won't be able to enter into the system. So it's become very good firewall. So in that man, that will happen only when you have the mindfulness to the fore. So therefore, the most important thing that Buddha introduced to the world is the mindfulness to the fore. So the mindfulness to the fore only brings the liberation, because even if you liberate your mind, if you are hooked up in the eighth absorption, that hooking is happening because these nivaranas or because these hindrances are at work at a very sharper and subtle level, and you aren't able to see them. So if you don't see them, then you have no chance. And why you don't see them is because your mindfulness is not to the fore. So therefore, if you develop the ability to keep the mindfulness to the fore, no matter what comes, initially it may be hard, but you keep observing, then you will see these hindrances, although you have come to such a great level in your practice, but hindrances are not giving up because mind doesn't want to simply give up. So you don't fight with your own mind. You don't fight with dirty nature of the mind. Not fighting with the mind itself is your liberation, is your wisdom. So it's the liberation by wisdom. So therefore, seeing the hindrances is the most wise thing that anyone can do. So when you do that, the imperfections relating to ignorance, there are certain imperfections relating to ignorance, they will not be come into play and poke your fingers. Poke their fingers, rather, sorry. So therefore, you will be liberated by the liberated by wisdom. So, but there is bit of discourse that explains this further, which we call Panya Vimukta Sutta. That's how it is entitled in uh, the discourse, in Pali discourse, and usually in English we call it wisdom, right? So in that sutta, someone is asking the blessed one, blessed one is saying, it is said, friend, liberated by wisdom, liberated by wisdom. In what way has the blessed one spoken of one liberated by wisdom? So it's a question. We always keep saying liberated by wisdom. What the heck it is? In simple terms, in my terms, Buddha is asking that. The whoever is asking that. Then the Buddha is explaining to the person, here, friend, secluded from sensual pleasures and so on and so forth. He is explaining the eighth absorption. By explaining eighth absorption, what he says is, in the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, so on and so forth. And he says, to this extent, the Blessed One has spoken of one liberated by wisdom in a provisional sense. So when you liberate by wisdom, your liberation by wisdom does not start only after all the ignorances are gone. Buddha is giving the wisdom liberation by wisdom at a very early stage from the first absorption itself. So when you are able to bring your attention to the object, and when you are able to see the details of the object, when you have what do you call applied and sustained thoughts, and when you are away from secluded from sensual pleasures and unwholesome deeds, then you will be going into the first absorption. So when you go into the first absorption in this manner, Buddha says, in a provisional sense, you are liberated. So what does that mean? In a provisional sense, you are liberated is because now here what happens is you are away. Not only that, you have reduced craving. On one hand, in the absorption, you have gotten rid of craving for the sensual world and the hindrances. But if only craving has reduced, then you don't have an opportunity to have the wisdom to liberate by wisdom. And only the craving has reduced to those two, but your craving to the state you are in, the first absorption, second absorption, third absorption, fourth absorption, even the eighth one, your ignorance is there. So therefore, how you come out of the ignorance is, there will have a situation, you are not trying to hold on to the whatever the stage you are in. You see it happens and you will be there for some time, and then it disappears and it completely vanishes away. And then you become another normal person without, or maybe while sitting, or maybe while walking, or maybe in your day-to-day life, you are very composed and you are in absorbed situation, or calm situation, or tranquil situation. But all of a sudden something will happen, all this go out the window. So when it goes out the window, initially you will start crying, oh, I was having all these things, then now these things are not happening, so what's happening to me? So and then when you discuss and when you listen to a talk, teacher may tell you, this is how it happens. Even the jhanas, even the absorptions will not be permanent. So you will have to accept that these are changing. So therefore, you will continue your practice. So when you continue your practice, you come to the first absorption, and when it is there, you become aware. And when it is not there, you observe whatever is there. And again it happens. And then you keep observing, and then disappears. Again it happens, disappears. You just let this process happen. So when that happens, not only your what do you call craving reduces, the ignorance also reduces, because you are allowing the impermanence to work. You are allowing the non-self to work. So indirectly, you accept the nature of impermanence. You accept the nature of non-self. So that way, provisionally means only to the extent of your absorption. It is not completed, right? So to that extent, you have wisdom. Not only you have reduced craving, you also know what you achieved is not something that is permanent. So that is so. It is not, when you call panya vimukti or liberated by wisdom. Again, not necessary for you to go to another school, another college, another course, another degree to get this. It is the same thing. But what attributes have you developed to see that in such a way decides whether you have liberation by wisdom or liberation of the mind. For people, those who are liberated by the mind, I'm not liberated by the mind, liberation of the mind may not necessarily have the liberation by wisdom. Usually, it does not happen. When we listen to the reports, and you always try to give the best report, thinking that is because the mind is trying to show some achievement. That's a human nature. It's nobody's fault. It's a human nature. So when the teacher sees that, teacher knows he's to this extent, he's liberated, his mind is liberated, but still he's trying to make some identification out of what he has achieved. So let him continue. And Buddha has once said, Venerable Ananda has gone to Bhikkhuni's monastery, and he's the one who usually goes and preaches there. And then Bhikkhunis have told, Bhante, our practice is going so well, we are so happy, and it is a miracle that we got this four foundations of mindfulness from the Blessed One. Please go and inform him that we are so happy and our practice is going so well. So once Venerable Ananda told this to the Blessed One said, Ananda, now when you go next time, tell them, and in the same way, their happiness will shatter. Their attention to Four Foundations mindfulness will be completely destroyed. And ask them to be still happy. Ask them to still observe even that. And that is what Buddha said. That is because he knows that their mind is getting liberated, their craving is reducing. But he now sees from the report that they are going to build a kingdom upon the cessation or the depreciation of the craving. So he destroys all the kingdoms. So this is what he means by liberated by wisdom. Provisional sense means because you are yet to go. So when in the second absorption, you go few more steps further. Third absorption, you go few more steps further. Fourth absorption, still further. And then in the eighth absorption, from up to the fifth and eighth, the Blessed One says, again, friend, with the complete surmounting of perceptions of forms. So once you complete the fourth absorption, so you are no longer with the forms. Complete, successfully overcome the perceptions of the form. Not just the form. You don't even have the perception of the form after the fourth absorption. So with passing away of the perceptions of sensory impingement, with no attention to perceptions of diversity, that is perceiving, space is infinite. So he will go to infinite space stage, and Bhikkhu enters dwells in the infinite space, the base of the infinite infinity of the consciousness. That is the sixth one. The seventh one is the base of nothingness, and the eighth one is neither perception nor non-perception state. I'm not going to explain these things in detail. We have discussed those things in detail in the previous talks, but hopefully if we get another discourse in the future, we will discuss them in detail later. But if someone wants, I think these are available in our four foundations of mindfulness, if I'm right, or some other. Anyway, I can find out and let you know, or Chatu should be able to let you know if someone wants to listen to those things. So you will be going into these things. Again, he says, to this extent, two, the Blessed One has spoken of one liberated by wisdom in a provisional sense. So even here, when you go higher up in the hierarchy, you understand impermanence more. When you go to the fifth absorption, you know, you don't even have the perception of form. So you have completely seen the disappearance of the form. So therefore, it is a huge understanding of impermanence. But then non-form is coming into the picture. Formless states. So you may have craving to the formless states, and you may take that as permanent. You may not be able to come out of it. But if you go further from the fifth, if you go to the sixth, then you allow the impermanence of the fifth one, and you depreciate the craving for the fifth one. And if you go to the seventh, then you depreciate the craving for the sixth and allow the impermanence of the sixth. But if you are able to move on to the eighth, you allow the disappearance of the craving for the seventh, you allow the non-self and impermanence of the seventh. But now you are on the highest point in the ladder, neither perception nor non-perception. And if you again crave this stage and make yourself identified with that, that is what happened before Buddha to Uddakarama Prutta. That was Buddha's last lay teacher. He was not able to come out of it. So once Buddha achieved that, he has been the fastest student to achieve that state. Then the Blessed One has been informed. Then he was not the Blessed One. He was the Buddha to be. He has been told, okay, I have 500 students. You take 250. I will take 250 and we will carry on the business. Buddha has said, no, thank you very much. You have all 500. My mission is different. I'm looking for truth. King Satya Gavesi. I'm going in search of truth. So I will not rest until I find that. And he has given all that and gone. That has happened even before he becomes Buddha. He saw, even at that stage, there is suffering. Because you will have to maintain that. You will have to have 250 students and maintain it. You will have to maintain your own practice to have that. And therefore, Buddha says, if you are gradually developing the appearance and disappearance nature of the state you are in, then you are allowing impermanence to come into the scene, and you are getting used to impermanence. And how impermanence and non-self will come is, you allow it to change, you allow it to lose, you allow it to completely get shattered, and you don't accept that I know. Because when you practice, you want to somehow or other achieve something and hold on to as tight as possible. But what Buddha says is completely different. You achieve it, but don't get glued into it. You just keep observing. If it vanishes, let it vanish. If it completely vanishes, let it completely vanish. It might appear, then you observe it again. So in this manner, you will get used to impermanence and non-self, and then you become still provisional sense. Wisdom, liberated by wisdom in provisional sense. And finally he says, again, friend, by completely surmounting the base of neither perception nor non-perception, a bhikkhu enters and dwells in the cessation of perceptions and feelings, and having seen with wisdom, his stains are utterly destroyed, and he understands it with wisdom. To this extent, friend, the Blessed One has spoken of the liberated by wisdom in a non-provisional sense. So I will explain this to you. He says, you are going beyond neither perception nor non-perception, because this state is also not permanent. It is there for some time and it vanishes and completely goes away, and then again it appears. You allow this to happen. So when you allow this to happen, you are not holding on to it. So when you are not holding on to it, Buddha says, a bhikkhu enters and dwells in the cessation of perception. This neither perception nor non-perception is also a perception. And it's like the fan is working. We usually have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. We will say level 5. Or if you take a car, you will have maximum 5 gears, 6 gears, we'll say. But if you have about 100 gears, like that, neither perception nor non-perception means it is working so fast. There is something, but you exactly can't say that there is something as well. So the movement, the velocity is so fast. So and in that stage, since nothing else is there, this changing nature is only you see. It is so peaceful. It is so soothing. So people get naturally hooked onto it. But what Buddha says is, if you keep observing, if you don't hold on to it, it will vanish. And once it vanishes, if you don't cry and simply keep observing that it is lost, and it will come up once again. And then again it will lose. So in that manner, when this changing, fast changing phenomena is also vanishes and comes up, vanishes and comes up, then you let it happen means you don't at least hold on to that perception. So your mind will not hook onto any perception. So therefore, Buddha says, such a person, when you surmount the base of neither perception nor non-perception, in other words, when you don't create passion towards it and you let it happen, the bhikkhu enters and dwells in the cessation of perception. So you will let the perceptions, all the perceptions go away, and not just the perceptions and feeling. Because you have a perception, because you have a feeling. So it is called Sanya Vedahita Nirodha. You neither have perception nor have feeling, but you are liberated. If you have a feeling, you are not liberated. If you have a perception, you are not liberated. So therefore, sometimes when the practitioners develop their practice, they just keep walking like dead people. When dead people are walking, they don't take any perception. They don't have any feelings. People call, you don't hear. Someone will come and punch and you don't feel it much. Okay, see you later. Is your attitude. So that is because the cessation of perception is happening and that you don't have feelings. And having seen with wisdom, so even that, it is very important, even that you allow that situation also not to become permanent. Sometimes you have perception, sometimes you have feelings. You don't identify yourself with that situation as well. So even that happens for some time. And then Buddha says, Raga Viraga Nirodha. So you had craving and the craving is lost. When the craving is lost, the pleasure is immense. When you have no craving, we think when we have craving, the pleasure is immense. When you lose craving, the pleasure is, craving is completely gotten rid of, then your craving comes to the climax. But even then, if you don't identify yourself, you simply keep observing, the Buddha says, your tains are utterly destroyed. So when your tains are utterly destroyed, then there is nothing to poke fingers in. They will have thoughts, but you don't give them birth certificate. You are not worried about them. Okay, if you come, you stay there. If you want to go, you go. You are not saying this is happening because of that, that is happening because of that, why it is coming, why don't they completely stop, and all sorts of things, questions will not ask. So things will be there, but you are not poking fingers because you have no tails. So since that stage is, it is not coming overnight. It's a regular practice, gradual practice, and it's a gradual process. And there are a lot of experiences that you will have when you come to this stage, and that way you will have panya vimukti, or the liberated by wisdom. And I will take. I already taken 7 minutes more. I'll take another 5 minutes and explain the next one as well to finish this section. There is another liberation called both respects. Both respects means both these happening at the same time. You liberated by liberation of the mind, liberated by the wisdom. Both these are happening at the same time. And how you see that is, Buddha is giving this word, Buddha is including this word. It's the same stages. It's the same 9 stages, 8th absorption and Sanya Vedahita Nirodha, or the state where there is no perception and feeling. The only thing Buddha says is, I will read what is in the discourse. It says, here, friend, secluded from sensual pleasures and so on and so forth, a bhikkhu enters and dwells in the first absorption. He dwells having contacted that base with the body in whatever way it is attained. And he understands it with wisdom. So understanding it with wisdom means what we just discussed. It comes up and goes and comes up and goes, and you just let it happen. So that is the wisdom. And the important thing is, he understands that with the base in the body, with the body in whatever way it is attained. So this is why I'm telling all the time, whenever you observe something, whenever you become mindful of something, when you're observing the physical process, no problem. Your attention is anyway in the body. When you're observing your feeling, your attention is anyway in the body. So there is no problem in that. But if you observe your thoughts, if you observe anything else, then as soon as you observe that, see how it is getting manifested in the body. So therefore, not only because why you will have to see how it manifests in the body is, as soon as you become mindful, what you do is you get rid of the consciousness that tries to catch passion, that tries to create craving. So when the craving fades away, the situation is even more pleasant. So there is that pleasantness you will experience in your body. So when you are not attentive to what is happening, the pleasant nature of the body, without your knowledge, you will get used to that, and the craving will get developed. So as soon as you become mindful of something that is happening in phenomena or in mind, you quietly bring your attention to the body as well. So therefore, that cyclical pleasure that the body receives when the craving depreciates also can be observed. So when you observe, then you don't allow yourself to identify with it. So that becomes wisdom. So therefore, both these are happening at the same time. So this is why we call it Ubato Bhaga Vimuktiya, or both respects. So your liberation of the mind, liberation of the wisdom, both are happening at the same time if you keep your attention to the body. This is why in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, The blessed one says, what does he say? He says that keep the body as the focal point and have the mindfulness to the fore. So it is not just mindfulness to the fore. Your focal point has to be body. It says, ujung kayang panidaya parimukang satim upattavata. Keeping the mind as the base of your attention and keep the mindfulness to the fore. So then both this will happen together. So this is why Buddha says in 4 foundations of mindfulness, you will definitely enlighten in 7 days or in 7 years if you do it the way I am telling you. So therefore, the very clear message by the Buddha to the universe is keep the mindfulness to have the body as the base and keep the mindfulness to the fore. If these fundamentals are if these basics are right in your practice, then the only thing that happens is you very quickly go to liberation. So may you all have a quick liberation, and with that I will conclude my discussion. Teruvan Saranai.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
All right. So with that, I'm not quite sure to what extent I was successful and to what extent you were able to understand, but I tried my level best. Any questions, please?
Bhante, can I give my kamatahan?
Yes, please.
Yes. So, Bhante, so I focused on my breath, like stay still and focus on my breath. So I have observed that the inhalation is in the left nostril in the upper side, and the exhalation is in the end of my nose. And I've also realized that during as days goes by, sometimes it shifts from the left nose to the right nostril. So that is my center of focus. But like when I see sounds and all, I what you call, I internalize it. So I see this, like earlier I used to just see the sound externally, but now I see it little bit internally, like a vibration on my head kind of thing. But over time, when I observe that, it becomes finer and finer, and I can even see, like, crickets chirping, and even night sounds. It suddenly, the very quiet room becomes very noisy suddenly. So that is one thing I have observed when it comes to sound. And when it comes to the bodily pain, I have also observed that I have just observed with the equilibrium mind, I have observed the bodily pains, and after some times that also subsides, and I can feel my pulse and the sort of my heartbeat for some time. And again, when that goes down, again I try to put myself back into the breath, and also I'm getting distracted with the mind, I mean, say thoughts, like good thoughts, bad thoughts, lustful thoughts, all kinds of thoughts. So, like, without any judgment, I try to observe them, and finally I've noticed that they also just comes in my mind like a light. So it's like a yellowish light. It comes, the thought just, that's how my mind reads it, as some sort of a light, and it just goes off, something like that way. So, Bhante, this is how I've been practice. Any improvements I can do, or anything I'm doing wrong?
Do you have any questions in the report that you're mentioning? Do you think that there is anything that should get clarified?
Yeah, no, nothing to get clarified. I don't know whether what I'm doing is right. Should I continue like this? So,
yeah. So if you see this report from the perspective of mindfulness, do you consider that you are mindful or not?
so yeah, to a certain extent, yes, Bhante. But sometimes my
Yes.
mind
So
goes into a different.
okay. So yeah. So why are you saying to a certain extent?
Yeah, because I'm getting distracted. For example, we say
Distracted from what?
I'm trying to keep my mindfulness, in the inhalation and exhalation. Then I
Yes.
get, then my mind moves on to a sound, and I
Yes.
do not try to stop it, control it. I just let it do its course and finish. So then again, I'm getting distracted there because my focus has changed
Yes.
to a different perspective. Then
Yes.
again, it comes
Yeah.
back
So
to
do
the
you,
focus.
okay, now it makes sense. Now, do you know what is mindfulness?
Yes, observing everything that happens with the equilibrium, without any judgment.
No, we'll forget about equanimity. Forget about equanimity. Without any judgment, you simply keep observing. That is
Yes,
mindfulness,
yes,
which we call choiceless awareness.
yes.
Has that happened? Has
It
that happened in this report?
uh, it has happened in a certain periods, and sometimes the mindfulness doesn't happen. Means, say I get a thought, and then
No,
there's
now
a
again, I'm going to the basics.
okay,
This is a question of the basics. Now
okay,
you are saying mindfulness is observation without judgment.
yes.
So if observation without, what are you observing?
Every phenomena, everything that
Um,
happens to me.
yeah,
Yes,
everything in the sense, everything. When you say everything, you will have to include the whole universe. But when you become mindful, we restrict our mindfulness.
yes,
We restrict our mindfulness for basically three things. Because we are, to the universe, we are already mindful. This is why we have NASA. They are looking outside. But our mindfulness, our observation, our non-judgmental attention is not to the outside world. So it's not everything. Our attention is to self,
yes,
now and here.
yes,
So we are observing, I am here and now.
mm,
Okay.
yes,
So that is mindfulness.
yes.
So if you understand mindfulness in that manner, uh, how do you see your report now?
Yes, Bhante, I have observed here and now.
Yes. So
Uh,
since you have observed here and now, you know the breath. You know in breath, you
yes,
know out breath, you know the
yes,
changes in breath and out breath.
yes,
Since you are observing, I am here and now, you know sounds are coming. And
yes,
also you have observed it so well, your attention has gone to the ear. Taking attention to the ear means your attention is in the body.
mm,
And you have observed that it is changing as well. It becomes finer and then it becomes, like cricket chirping. So this is mindfulness. And then you have had unpleasant feelings and you have kept observing that as well, with equanimity. And then you have felt in this manner, your attention goes deep into the body. And that is why you feel even your heartbeat. It is not easy to feel heartbeat. So if you feel heartbeat, you let that happen and keep observing. Right? So the observation is happening, mindfulness is happening. Your mindfulness is right here, right now. But your mind is having some other agenda. And therefore, you said somewhere when you are giving your report, I pull myself or put myself back into the breath. So the mind is trying to tell you mindfulness is equal to breath observation, which is utter rubbish by the mind. But you will have to understand this is not your fault. This is what our mind has been doing in the entire existence. It never allowed us to stop choosing. Mind always infuses us, encourages us, inspires us to choose something.
oh,
So now you are not choosing anything in the sensual world, but it is making you to choose in the spiritual sphere as well. So therefore, it will say to go to breath. You observe that as well.
Okay.
So therefore, you keep your surveillance camera switched on 24/7. And if you have that, all what is happening, your mindfulness is going perfect. And even now your mindfulness is going perfect. You don't appreciate that it is mindfulness. You don't give the credit to mindfulness. I mean, when I use the word you, it is not personally you. Your mind is not allowing that to happen. Mind is trying to give you a different equation. So you will have to ask the mind, go to hell, and simply observe whatever that is happening, whether it's like or not, and your practice is going so well. So therefore, there is nothing to correct, but the viewpoint is different. With this is what we call samadhi. Practice is going, and if you have the michaditi, wrong view, then you will not get the results. You will not go further. So this is why we have this discussion. So have the basics right all the time. Whenever there is a question, see it from the, am I having choiceless awareness? Is it now? Is it here? That's all you will have to do. And let anything happen, let any phenomena arise. You simply keep observing and have some connection, have some communication with the body, with your practice. So I think your practice is going pretty well, and we can together go forward. Blessings of the Triple Gem. Any questions?
Thank you, Bhante.
Right. Okay. Any other report?
So I said the fifth state that you mentioned, is it like the non-matter? Was it the fifth or the sixth state?
Which one?
The when you're going up the ladder and you get to the stage of non-matter, and how how some people get hooked on it.
Yeah, it is fifth one. Yes.
Fifth one, yeah.
Yeah,
So like the cravings come out of like a perception you create of yourself.
yeah.
Right? Is that
It
true?
is.
Oh, okay.
It is not a perception that you create of yourself. It's a perception. You completely lose the perception of form. When you lose the perception of form, you go to infinite space. So
Yeah.
it is like you go into a room and there are things scattered all over the room. So you stack them in one corner. And when you stack them in one corner, you see more space in the room, and the whatever that is there, so that can be considered as material, is so insignificant. Your attention is to the space. It is not that you are creating anything, but because you move away from the perception of matter, you see the infinite space, because we bring our attention to the body. When you bring our attention to the body, our body is having so much of space which we have never seen. So those things, when you go through the vibrations of the body, and the vibrations will gradually fade away, and you start seeing huge empty space.
Yeah.
So it's not something that you create.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other question, please? So if nothing is there, we can chant the stanzas and close it. Who chanted last time? Tanuka?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah. So can we go to Chatu this time, please? Or Kusal?
1 second.
May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all the beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect me and others. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done it. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive my Dhamma to be seen here and now, timeless. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive my Sangha, practice well, the incomparable. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives, and may they be happy. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I take Nibbana. Sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Teruvan Saranai, everybody. So we'll see you next time.
Teruvan Saranai.
Teruvan Saranai.